Did you really move to New York City with $60 in your pocket?
I did. I moved to New York. I moved to New York with 60 bucks and 2 bags. And I just knew that I wanted to become a better writer. And I was totally disappointed and disenfranchised by my feature film and how that went. So I was like, I'm just gonna go there and I'm gonna just be a great writer. And a friend of mine had an extra room in his house. And so I stayed in this extra room. And not to maybe like a year later, I had enough money to get my own place.
What were in the 2 bags?
Just clothes.
Just clothes, okay, all right. So you want to make sure you look good though. That's
I
good.
had these Pumas. I had these Pumas that I needed to throw away. They had holes in the side of them. The tread was worn down on them. But because those are the shoes that I had carried through my journey, I just never wanted to get rid of them. So it took me forever to get rid of those Pumas. But yeah, they were in one of those 2 bags.
I have something like that too, and it's a reminder.
Mm-hmm.
It is. There's a history behind it. And
Yeah. Where you been? You don't want to forget. You don't want to forget where you've been.
And how did you travel? Did you travel by plane or you drove?
Okay. Well, I didn't pay for the flight. One of my really good friends, like it was my time had kind of wound down in Atlanta where I had produced my project, and I needed a place to stay. Essentially, I mean, you hate to say you're homeless, but essentially it's true. I mean, I didn't have a lease or money to get anything, and a friend of mine, he got a ticket for me. He said, "Hey, I have an extra bedroom out here in New York, you're welcome to stay." And I went up there and I stayed in this place and quickly found a job and just tried to do what I needed to do to get my life back on track.
What was that time like in the airport while you were waiting for the flight and checking in?
I knew it was the right move. When I was in the airport headed to New York, I knew it was the right move, but I didn't know why. Had always thought I would one day live in New York, but I had not made a single plan in my life to move to New York. And I just remember getting to LaGuardia and literally stepping off the plane, and I knew that's where I was supposed to be. Nothing in me said otherwise. I knew that's where I was supposed to be.
There was a film festival and a film. Was that any part of the motivation?
Moving to New York? Yes. I had done a feature film called Lesson Before Love, and I had put so much work, time, and effort into this feature. And this was kind of in the beginning when Ava DuVernay had done Middle of Nowhere, and she had done I Will Follow. So you started seeing like Dee Rees doing these movies. There were all these micro-budget Black films that were like getting attention. Barry Jenkins had just done Medicine for Melancholy. So I'm thinking like, all I have to do, all I have to do is make a film. And if I make a film, it'll be significant enough for Hollywood to come calling. But I made this film. I got into this incredible film festival out in Hollywood, and I just knew something would manifest. I just knew it, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. And I just had my film and all these dreams, and they were just sitting there. And I was like, nothing's happening for me in Atlanta. My money's drying up. I need to just be better for myself. And I thought what was wrong was I wasn't as strong of a writer as what I needed to be. And so that's why I decided to go to New York, because I'm like, the best writers are writing theater right there in New York. So I went there to just absorb and learn and grow.
And how long had it been since you had finished that film?
It was the same year. It was the same year. So I did the film in 2000, at the very beginning of 2011, and then went on the film festival circuit. I only got into like 4 festivals. I only had enough money to submit for those 4, so hey. But yeah, I got into those festivals and just thought like everything would change, and nothing changed. Nothing at all changed. And it went from being what I thought was gonna be my calling card to like just another project. And I didn't know that you just have to keep doing your next project and not necessarily worry about the end game. And I was so focused on the end game that first time, which I think is really what set up all that anxiety and depression that I went through for a few years.
Before you moved to New York, you had a job in, was it organ donation?
Yes.
Okay. And this was like a dream job, and you were
was.
rising in the company, and you had plans. I don't know if you were saving up for a house or you were doing some things.
Yes, so I got in this job. This was right after Hurricane Katrina, and I got a job like right during that time. And so I never thought that organ donation would become a passion point for me, and it did. And so I worked the job and I was doing extremely well within the company. And then all of a sudden, they give me a new position, moved me to New Orleans. In 21 days, they let me go. Like literally walked me out of the front door with security and changed the code as soon as I get outside. And I never felt like that ever in my life. And I thought this was going to be my career job that I did in tandem with making films. But that's not what the design was about.
Did you tell them that you were a filmmaker?
They knew. So
I know employers get nervous at that, which I don't
employers
understand
always
why.
get nervous, and I don't know why necessarily either, because I think people having an outside passion actually makes them better at their job because it gives you something to look forward to as opposed to just coming back home or going back to work on Monday. And so they knew, and they knew that I had done some plays. They knew that I had some things going on, but I don't know if it was jealousy or envy or if I just didn't meet the corporate culture that caused me to get fired. But I got fired, and it took me a long time to recover from that.
And so, do you look back on it now that it was almost a blessing in some sense because your life has taken many turns? You went to New York, now you're here in LA.
Yes, I think losing that job really was the impetus that was needed for me to kind of really start my career. Because beforehand, I mean, when you have the cushy job, when you have the money, your passions almost just inevitably take a back seat. And so when I lost that job, I had saved up this money to buy a home, but now, of course, you can't buy a home with no job. And so I made my first feature film, and the way that I felt on that set, the moment that I said action, I knew that's what I was supposed to do. And that feeling is the feeling that has guided me throughout my entire career. Like when I have that feeling, I know that it's right and I know that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So I look at it as an ultimate blessing at the time, but it did take me through a lot of emotional turmoil, losing something that I felt like I was supposed to have.
Also, too, I'm sure like losing trust in people, having been in a similar situation. I know you lose faith in like a lot of different things. It's easy to get jaded. And so were there things that helped you out of that?
I think it really just took time, to be honest with you, for me to get from that place of depression. And I didn't even know that I was even depressed from having lost that job. I really honestly didn't know that. And I never really had a clinical diagnosis, but now that I'm looking at it, I saw the state of depression means that you can't move either way. And so knowing that I was there for so long, I think it was really time and my filmmaking passion that really helped me kind of get out of that place. But I did lose faith in people. I did lose trust in people. I kind of still operate just like that, having something taken away so violently. I knew the potential for that to happen again is always possible. So there is a part of me that is still extremely guarded, but I also know that things are aligned in order the way that they're supposed to happen. Yeah.
What advice would you give to another filmmaker on having a plan B or C or D, whatever? Because I think, you had this plan for this movie, and then it happens to a lot of filmmakers where they think that's going to be the one to just, quote, put them on the map, and it takes several other projects.
Yeah, I think one of the most difficult things that happens to a filmmaker is for them to have a plan for their project and it not meet, because then the mark of success becomes something that you can't control. Well, our job is simply now, I realize, it's just to create. That's what our job is. And the universe will do what the universe is supposed to do. So now when I make projects or when I'm talking to people or giving any type of advice, I always say, just focus on creating. And everything that follows is what is supposed to happen, period, point blank. But if you say, oh, I'm gonna do this project so that I can get into Sundance, and you made a project, which is the gift, that's the hard part, and you don't get into Sundance, then you feel like you weren't successful. And that's not the case. The success of your creativity was in making the project. Everything after that has nothing to do necessarily with you or the project. It's just how that is supposed to move throughout the world, and you really can't control that.
So when you had this job, you were planning on doing these projects maybe on the weekends or, balancing it around the 9-to-5 world? decided?
Well, when I was working at job, I thought that I was going to write this script and then Spike Lee was going to call. Like, I literally thought one day he would just hit me on the phone like, "Do you so happen to have the script?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do, Spike Lee." But that's just not how it went. In order for me to have gotten to the place to start creating, I had to be in a space that identified this is the only opportunity that you have. So it had to happen that way in order for me to have created that project. And if it hadn't, I would have never found my purpose, because I had not made a film before then. I had just been writing. I didn't even know that a short film existed. I went to a film festival in New Orleans and I thought it was for like feature films. And I'm like, of course, I love movies. And then I'm like, wait, did that just end in 9 minutes? I'm like, wait, I didn't know it was a short film. And so that's how I got the thought to, oh, wait, I could take a little bit of money and I can do that. And so that's where it kind of came from.